Hello everyone, I am the Basement Dweeb, you can call me Nova, and I finally watched Emma, a Victorian Romance, Part 2. Real quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, to hit the subscribe button and like the video. Leave a comment down below. It lets, it pleases the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to be linking my Patreon and Twitter. Without further ado, let's get right into the video proper. Now, this video is going to be super spoiler heavy because I'm going to be talking today about all the things I really liked about Emma, a Victorian Romance. And it is going to be, I don't really know how long it's going to be. It's going to be basically me rambling about the things I really liked about the show. And I'm hopefully going to have a lot of fun with it. So right away, first off the bat, we're going to get this out of the way. Hakeem, the Indian prince that is Will's, basically his best friend. I love that man so much. Holy shit. This man is absolutely the best. I love Hakeem so much. Because he's a good man. I respect him. He's a good friend to Will. And number two, because this man has the most smashable voice on the face of the planet. He is such, and the other thing that kind of just seals the deal is that, for me, I like Will. Will is a good man. I respect him. But Hakeem is more my type physically. If that makes sense. I'm much more into, the darker hair, the longer, darker hair. I'm not really, blonde. It doesn't really do it for me. I don't really like blonde men for the most part. So it's one of the things where I see Hakeem, and he has the dark hair and the dark eyes and a really attractive voice, and I'm just like, yeah, this is my husbando from this show. So yeah, I love Hakeem, but not just because he's very physically attractive. Even, it's not just because he's physically attractive. I also like that he, devil may care. He doesn't care what other people think. He's like, you know what? I want to do this thing. I'm gonna do this thing. He helps Will out so much, and he encourages Will to go after his dreams and do the things that make him happy, and supports Will all the time. And he's just a really good man, and he's fun and doesn't care about anything, and is very, just every time he's on screen I am smiling. He's a very fun character, and I love his character so much. So yeah, I love Hakeem, and I think, most people probably agree with me that Hakeem is pretty good. So the next thing that I really liked about Emma, Victorian Romance was the romance between Will and Emma. In general, it fit the time period well. It's very cute, it's very obvious from the start. There wasn't a lot. The main thing that I loved was that there wasn't a lot of will they, won't they in terms of feelings. It was painfully obvious to everyone involved, including, Will and Emma, that they loved each other. That was something that was obvious, that was a given basically from the start. The obstacles that stood in their way wasn't themselves. The obstacles that stood in their way were issues of the time, class and stature and all of that. And I really liked that because, here's the thing, I am romance trash, and I'm going to make a whole video on that later, but I really like romance. But one of the things that really bothers me about romance is when characters do a lot of will they, won't they for no damn reason. They're just like, oh, maybe I like him, maybe I don't, going back and forth, and I'm just like, can you just not, please? I love romance, but that trope just irritates the living daylights out of me. And that doesn't really happen here. Obviously, in the beginning, they're kind of like, maybe, but, it doesn't last very long. And they don't really, by episode, he's kissed her by episode, 4 or 5 of season 1, and there wasn't even this big romantic confession, because he kissed her and then it was obvious, it's obvious, he kissed me, he loves me, and I love him. It's that simple, and I just love that. I much prefer, it's a breath of fresh air, because I'm used to romances where they do a lot of will they, won't they in terms of feelings. They're like, oh, do I love him, do I really? It's like, no. And Will and Emma are like, no, I love her, and she loves me, and that's great. But my dad's like, no, she's a maid. How dare you? And I like that. It's a Victorian romance in anime, and that's how Victorian romances, at least the novels, are. When a maid falls in love with a rich man, their love was never meant to be, but it was. And it's it can be. It's not super overly dramatic in the sense that, well, it is, but it isn't. The drama feels like it makes sense with the times, but it makes sense. It's within logical belief, if that makes sense. it's like, okay, this is kind of a little out there, but logically, like, I can resign myself to it happening with the plot and with the characters and all that. But I love their romance. It's very cute, very wonderful, very fun to watch, very precious, and I just love it so much. And they are so cute and wonderful. And I love how William makes Emma feel loved. Like, his whole thing is, because back then it was very important that a man be able to provide for a woman. That was the main thing back then. That was a man's job, was to provide for his wife and his children. And so he wanted to, in season 1 it was about getting her nice things and giving her all these gifts, because he's like, I want to show her that I can provide for her, that I can give her these wonderful things. And also he says that, he gave her a lace handkerchief pretty early on, and he saw her, and her face lit up because she really wanted it, and he's like, I want her to do that again because I love her and I want to see her face light up. And so he's like, oh, if I give her these nice things, her face will do that again, and it'll be really wonderful. And then later, in season 2, he's very much about working hard, trying to secure a really big contract, because he's like, partly because he has to protect his family, but also because he's like, I want to show Emma that I can work hard and do amazing things. Because, he's like, oh, I might have to leave, because if I want to be with Emma, I might have to leave my family, so I need to leave them with something good. And just, he wants to prove that he can provide for Emma, and he wants to prove that he can be a good husband, because he loves her and he wants to marry her. And he doesn't, he's persistent, because and that's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people will probably be like, oh, she said no, why isn't he leaving? And I'm just like, look, in real life, this wouldn't work. This works in fiction. Because in fiction, in the story, in the context of the characters, it is painfully obvious that she is in love with him. If he didn't, and if it was, and again, this would only work in fiction. If this was a real person, and she was not, A, she wasn't in love with the guy, and B, the guy was being a creep, then it wouldn't be okay. But this is a fictional story with fictional characters, where in the context of the story, this is really adorable, because she is painfully obvious that she's in love with him, but she doesn't want to admit it because she doesn't want to drag him down. And a quote that happened earlier on in the show, I absolutely love it. It was said by Will's father. Will's father said, "A reed cannot live among you cannot graft a reed to an elm tree. Elm trees belong on the hill and reeds belong by the water." And Will says, then I get, and he's like, you can't graft a reed to an elm tree. It's like, then I guess I'll go live by the water, and walks out. And I'm just like, my man Will is so amazing. TLDR, I've been rambling for a while. TLDR, I love the romance between Emma and Will. It's super cute. 10 out of 10 would watch again. So next we're going to be talking about Eleanor. I really like Eleanor as the romantic rival for Emma, because overall, she's not a bad person. Like, there's a lot of shows where, like, the romantic rivals, not all shows, but it happens enough where I'm just like, I don't like when this happens. I like a lot, and sometimes, they get development, like, for example, in Fruits Basket, the romantic rivals for, Kyo, and for kind of for Yuki, like with the Yuki fan club, they get development later, but sometimes, they'll have romantic rivals in shows where the main character likes this person, and this person's just not a nice person, and I don't like that. I don't like when the romantic rival is just a terrible person, and that's why the main character doesn't like them. Orange, the anime Orange, is a prime example of this. The main character, Kakeru, has this girlfriend named, I think, Ueno? I'm not sure. I think her name's Ueno. But, she goes out with him, and she's a jerk to the girl that he actually likes, Naho? I think her name's Naho. It's been a little while since I've watched it. By the way, go watch Orange. Orange is really good. But, so Naho, she's a horrible person to Naho, because Naho really likes Kakeru, and then he ends up breaking up with her and stuff. And I'm just like, why is it like this? Why does it have to be? And Silent Voices kind of also falls victim to this. Kind of, like, because, Naoka, the girl with the black hair in A Silent Voice, I think in the manga anyway, she really likes Shoyo, and, I didn't really like Naoka, because I thought she was kind of a bitch, just saying, a beach, but, I did like her, but I hated Miki more, to be completely honest with you, because Miki was manipulative, and, like, wasn't honest about the fact that she was kind of a terrible person. Like, I appreciated Naoka for being honest. Anyway, this is going off the rails a little bit into Silent Voice territory. Silent Voice is also really good. Anyway, I don't like romantic rivals where the romantic rival is a terrible person and that's why the main character doesn't like them. I like Eleanor a lot because she's a nice person, she's a really good girl, she does her best to be, attentive and, wants to be what William wants in a wife, and he just doesn't see her that way. And I really like that he doesn't dislike her as a person. He likes her as a person, fine, but he doesn't love her in the way that she wants. In the words of Aragorn, I cannot give what it is but a thought and an illusion that you love. I cannot give you what you seek. I wish he would have let her down a little more gently, but I appreciate, him being very firm in that, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I mean, to be fair, Will wasn't super great about this, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but, again, I like Eleanor. Eleanor is understandable, because, she's, a good person, and by the end of the show, I just wanted her to be happy, and, at the end, it kind of hints that she's gonna be happy, because, she's, moved on, mostly, at this point, she's playing piano, and there's a guy, because she's moved out to the country at this point, to kind of get some space, and it shows her playing piano, and then there's this tall, dark, handsome guy kind of looking at her, and I'm just like, oh, she gets her happiness, yay. And that's the thing, I loved Eleanor. Eleanor was such a sweet, sweet girl, but Will just didn't like her that way, and I was so happy for her. I'm like, oh, she gets her happiness, yay, that's so wonderful. And that's a testament to writing a good romantic rival when I feel that way by the end. And I love Eleanor. She's such a good person. And it sucks that she couldn't be with Will, but she found her happiness in the end, and that's all we can really ask for. Alright, so next we're going to kind of go over a couple of different things. First of all, Will has, 4 siblings. He has a brother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters, and they're all younger than him. And I gotta say, out of all of them, out of the older 3, because the Cullen is 5 or 6, and so he doesn't really count. But out of Grace, Arthur, and Vivi, Grace is my favorite because Grace is the only one with class. Let's be completely honest here. Grace is the only one with class, and that's also because she's older and knows better. But Vivi wouldn't know class if it hit her in the butt, and Arthur is just kind of a dick, in general. And I mean, I don't hate him or anything, but Vivi gets on my nerves. I do not like Vivi at all. So there's that. Something else that I really like, I really liked how Will's mother was introduced because she just kind of appears. I had always assumed that she died or something when my first thought was, oh, when Colin was born, she died, because women unfortunately died in childbirth a lot back then. So my first thought was, oh, she died in childbirth when Colin was born. Very sad. Because, they kept talking about her like she was dead. And I'm just like, oh, that's so sad. And then, apparently she's just living in this house in the middle of nowhere, collecting things from the Orient. And I'm just like, okay. It was so shocking. And they did it by nodding back to this line that's come up a couple of times where, she loves the Crystal Palace. And so they brought up this line a few times where it's Will's dad used to tell a story about how they would, him and Aurelia, that's their mother's name, and Will and Grace used to go to the Crystal Palace a lot, and they've said his dad would tell the story a lot. They told the story of the dad saying, oh my gosh, she's having another child sometimes because she would get lost a lot because she loved the Crystal Palace. And she told that story to Emma, and then it revealed that Emma didn't figure it out right away, but it was revealed kind of through flashback when she was narrating over a flashback of herself in the Crystal Palace, and then it showed Will running up to her, and then it showed Richard Jones, William's father, and then Grace, and I'm like, holy shit, that is Will's mother? What in the fuck? I was so shocked. And that's the best way to do it. They did all this, stuff hinting, and that's how you do a twist. If you're gonna do a twist, do it like that. Because that came out of fucking nowhere, and it was fantastic. I loved it so much. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I also really love how Will makes really, really, garbage decisions in an attempt to move on and please everyone. Case in point, his proposal to Eleanor. Because he was like, you know what? He was worried he was never going to see Emma again. And he's like, you know what? If I marry Eleanor, she'll be happy. If I marry Eleanor, my family will be happy. And I'm never going to see Eleanor again, so Emma again. So, you know what? Whatever. And literally at his engagement party, Emma shows up. And then he's like, oh no, this was a bad idea, because he realizes, oh crap, I'm still in love with Emma and I could never love anyone else, and it's not, fair or right it doesn't do right towards me or Eleanor if I marry her, because I'm not going to be able to love her the way she deserves to be loved, and she can do better and I can do better, and I can do better in the sense that I can marry someone better, but there are better relationships for both of them, obviously Will is good with Emma, and then Eleanor finds her happiness later down the road with this random person that we don't know, but it's obvious that they're going to end up together based on positioning in the last episode, and I was very happy about that. But yeah, Will doing that makes sense, because he's like, I'm trying to move on, if I do this, and that was expected, he was expected to try to please people, even if it came at the expense of his own happiness, to maintain their position in society. And he's like, you know what, I'm never going to see him again, so I can sacrifice this and, try to make Eleanor happy and make my family happy, and hopefully I'll find happiness along the way. Ideally, Eleanor will make me happy eventually. And then he realizes later, oh crap, he realizes too late, after he majorly screwed up, that, oh crap, I can't love Eleanor, I have to call the engagement off. And I respect that he does it right away. He's like, oh crap, I can't marry her, I have to call the engagement off, right now, because if I don't, I am going to regret this, and Eleanor is going to regret this. I'm not going to be able to love her the way she deserves to be loved. This is not going to end well. And, everyone's pissed at him, and he's like, and I respect that he realized that he screwed up. And that's the thing I love about Will. Will is a man. Will is not a boy. He makes mistakes, and he's still young, but he's mature. He's a man. And when he makes a mistake, he owns up and realizes, hey, I screwed up. I need to fix this immediately. And so he, tells Eleanor straight, I don't love you. I can never forget Emma. I'm sorry. That's why I'm breaking off the engagement. She runs off crying, and he's like, I kind of deserve that, and he, after that, throws himself into his work because he knows that not marrying Eleanor will have effects on their family. And so he's like, you know what, I have to get a good contract. I have to get a lot of money to set up the family so that they are looked after when I leave. Because he's anticipating having to leave the Jones family in order to marry Emma. And so he's like, I got to get a lot of money to set them up so that they will be looked after so that I can marry Emma in peace and stuff. And I'm like, I respect Will for it. I respect him for, taking the actions necessary, admitting that he made a mistake, admitting that he, did something wrong, and then taking the actions necessary to fix it and trying his best to pick up the pieces along the way. I really, really like that, because that shows maturity, and that shows that Will is a man, not a boy. And I really like it. It felt really real and really human. The last thing I'm going to be talking about is the ending of the show and kind of how it affected me. So, at the end of the show, it is, spoiler alert again, just final warning, it is revealed that Emma and Will did get married and they had 4 children, and it was and let me tell you, when I found out that Emma and Will had 4 children, I literally screamed at my computer. I was like, oh my gosh, they have 4 children, that's so adorable, oh my gosh. And it felt like seeing an old friend that you haven't seen in forever and finding out they got married and had kids. And they're super happy about it and they're living their best life. That's how it felt, finding out that Emma and Will were married and had 4 children. Because I knew, because I'd, known these characters for 2 seasons, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they've been after this whole time, family and love and children. And I knew that they were happy. And I was happy because they were happy. And these are fictional characters. These are lines on a page. And they made me feel like an old friend just got married and had children. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And this is a testament to the ability of the original mangaka and the show and the writers of the show to write 2 amazing lead characters, Emma and Will. That is amazing character writing, that they can make you feel that way. It's absolutely phenomenal. In my opinion, if a character can make you feel that way, a character can make you feel like they are your old friend or something, and they're not real. If they can make you feel that way, that is S tier character writing right there. Like, straight up. If anything about this show is S tier, it is the character writing for Emma and Will. Because holy shit, I was so attached. Like, in general, I was attached to the characters by the end, but especially Emma and Will. Because I felt them. I was like, I was so attached, and I'm like, it's incredible that they could make me feel this way. So TLDR, the character writing for Emma and Will was absolutely amazing, and I love it so much. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I am going to be linking my Patreon, my Twitter down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!